So hi everyone, today we have a special guest on our channel. We have Samarth with us. So Samarth, would you like to introduce yourself once?
Yeah, sure. So hi all, I'm Samarth Nehe. I'm currently working as a SD2 at Uber. Prior to this, I've worked in companies like Make My Trip and Myntra. And since the last around 3 years, I've worked in the front-end domain itself. Currently, last 2 or 3 months, I've been active on LinkedIn, mostly trying to help people understand that there is a lot of demand for front-end jobs and how like people usually think that front-end is something that is very risky and something that doesn't have a lot of scope. So I'm just trying to put out some things so that people are aware of it that front-end has a lot of market.
Right. And as you guys can see, he already has a lot of experience in front end. He has cracked companies like Uber and Dream11, and a lot of other companies will be discussing that in the podcast as well. So Samarth, let's start off with the demand of front end. And by the way, I'll give his LinkedIn in the description. Make sure that you guys follow him on there. He has some amazing content. So like I was saying, let's start off with the demand of front end because like you said, a lot of people think कि फ्रंट एंड में उतना स्कोप नहीं है जितना बाकी चीज़ों में है. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक द डिमांड ऑफ फ्रंट एंड इज राइट नाउ एंड कितनी सैलरीज फ्रंट एंड इंजीनियर्स पुल कर सकते हैं अभी के टाइम में?
Got it. So, if you look at the current trend, like 5 or 6 years back, if you had looked at some companies, mostly people के दिमाग में it comes कि there's only SDE role,
Yeah.
and after you get into the company, it's like you have to get depending on the team requirement, you go into the back end or front end. So, few years back it was like that, but today if you look at even big tech companies like Amazon, Walmart, Google, everywhere they are hiring for front end engineer explicitly. If there was no demand for front end, why would someone hire for front end engineers differently? They could have hired just for a particular SD role. So that clearly tells that there is a lot of demand, and even the new startups that are coming like Blinkit, Zepto, even these are hiring for front end engineers. So I think the demand is continuously rising. I think, and if you talk about the salary part, like I can just give you a range what they can pull. Like if I talk about SD ones, because they are the ones who are most curious about the salaries.
Yeah.
So I think for SD1 on an average, a front-end engineer can pull around 15 or 16 ka base. I'm talking about some companies pay 4 also, some companies pay 21, 25 also. So average will be around 15 they can pull. And for SD2, I think it can go around 27 base or 28 base. So now that and that also it's not like you can only hit to that, and like there are some things that you can do to actually increase that scope, which is called negotiation, I think.
Yes.
And what you can do is basically you can't directly say ki if your current is 13 but average is 28, so you have to do a jump from 13 to 28. That's technically not possible. No one will give you that. So one thing is you can do is negotiation with competitive offers. So from 13 you try to jump till 17. Take the 17 offer and maybe take another job and tell them ki you have a 17 offer and you go to 20. It's basically a jump that takes you to 27 or 28. Directly the jump is not possible. So I think that's a way you have to look out for, like have multiple offers or else crack a company that doesn't actually check your previous offer. Then they have some fixed pay that they give to their fellow people. Like, yeah, there are two ways basically.
Like FANG companies
Yeah.
basically, right? And बाकी sky is the limit as we know in tech, right? हमने देखा है कैसी कैसी सैलरी मिलती है when it goes till crores, right? So obviously skills पे भी depend करता है. But हाँ, like you said, it's pretty good, right? Starting में 16-20 as a base, increasing to 28-30 as a base it is pretty good. So now let's talk a little bit about कि क्या करना चाहिए उन salaries को लेने के लिए, right? Because a lot of freshers are confused. They think that front end is only a particular tech stack, or front end is about making only a particular project. So what exactly can you give as a roadmap to getting that kind of a salary?
Yeah, even today when I tell some of my friends that I'm into front end, they are like, "Acha CSS karta hai." So for them, it's just like what you see on the laptop screen. That is just it's based on colors, font size, yes,
Yes.
but actually more than that. Like when you start getting into front end, then you'll understand ki HTML, CSS, JS is just like 10% of the front end. Later you start to build apps using frameworks, libraries like React Native, Angular, and then you start to understand what front-end architecture is. Then you go into system design, machine coding. All these rounds wouldn't have been conducted if front-end was that easy. So a proper roadmap, what I can say is, if you're very beginner, like you have no understanding about front-end, you definitely, I think, start with HTML, CSS, and JS. This is like the core. And later, once you get an idea of this, you can pick up a framework. Now, framework currently, I'll be honest, the trend we have React. Although if you've already started with Angular, you have been in Angular for 2-3 years, it's not something to be scared of कि अभी React में जाना ही पड़ेगा. You can continue with Angular because mostly companies, apart from startups, what they'll see is your problem solving skills. If you're able to do things in JS properly, tomorrow if Angular is deprecated and you know only Angular and the company works on Angular. Company डूबेगी तो नहीं. They just want person who can actually be comfortable to shift into some other language. So they mostly focus on the problem solving. So even if you're in the Angular domain or Vue.js also, you can still continue doing that. But currently trending is React. And from React, you can jump to React Native also, which is app development. So basically start learning a framework. So I'll take the example of React. Start to understand React from the basic. You can just learn the basics like component building, props, then states, how to manage state, Redux, context. These things you can figure out. And then learning is one thing and practicing is one thing. Now mostly people ask me is how do I practice? Projects ही दिमाग में नहीं आ रहे. So it's not necessary कि project should come in your mind, right? You can build something that already exists. For example, you have a lot of YouTube channels that make clones. I don't remember one. There's one guy named Sunny. I don't remember what his name was, but there's one person who does a lot of cloning. Mostly does it on React Native because I have started with React Native, so I watched a lot of his videos and really helps because you get to see the entire project from a upper view, like bird's eye view मिल जाता है. Like you only know context एक चीज है, props is one thing, but when you see everything coming up together, you know how to actually build the product. So I would highly recommend to watch cloning videos or videos of products like someone else is building it and you just like check and try to replicate it. Don't just watch it. That's a good thing to go about. And then you can slowly start to practice. If you are having more than 2 or 2.5 years of experience, it's recommended to start learning system design because nowadays even freshers have like they ask freshers also LLD questions and that. So it's really important. You can like start. There are some. I'll be honest. The amount of resource for system design explicitly is very less. I think I had followed 2 resources. One was Frontend Engineer. Channel name is Frontend Engineer, and the second one was Chirag Goel's Chuck the Frontend. So these 2 resources are something that I followed for system design. And yeah, like basically, I think you will be if you do all this, it's cleared. And one more thing will be remaining is your projects, which will be asked in your hiring manager round. So for that, like I told you, you should start with some clones or something that is already built. And once you get an idea of how it is done from scratch, you can like start building your own project. It can be anything, like it can be a library management system, it can be an e-commerce, it can be a desktop app, and it's something like that. So basically, it's not that you're training or practicing for an interview. It's just the roadmap that you're following, and ultimately, it leads to the like it is in parallel with the rounds that happen. Like because you have known how to do a project, you are basically practicing machine coding. You do system design, you're practicing for the system design round. So along with the roadmap, you're basically practicing the interview thing also.
So let's speak about projects, right? As we know, projects are very important for cracking front-end role, because obviously you need to have some good front-end projects in your resume to even get selected. And cloning are good for learning. They're extremely good for learning. But we know that sometimes if you only have clone projects in your resume, it might end up getting rejected. It doesn't work, right? So what do you think is a good project, or what is a type of project that one must make to, like upskill, basically upgrade their resume?
Got it. So yeah, one common thing that I have reviewed a lot of resume in the last 2-3 months. Most of them will have 2-3 projects. 2 of them are just some Google Meet clone or something like that. Exact clone, like literally open the app and it will be an exact clone. So I recommend them not to do it. What you can do is understand how e-commerce work and try to replicate your own e-commerce with some additional functions. Don't just blindly copy the UI and everything, and try to implement some other features, like try to implement your own libraries that you have learned. Maybe you can integrate React query into that, or maybe you can integrate some payment gateway into it, or add your own touch into that. And don't just write ki Amazon clone. Write it in your resume as something, name your own site and explain it to it as a e-commerce store that does this. It helps user buy perfumes or buy something like that. Don't just directly say it. And if you have 2 projects in your resume, try to make them completely different. It's not like first project is React, Material UI, and suppose Node.js. Second one is also React, Node.js, and something else. So it's almost similar. Both are web apps only. I recommend to put 2 projects which are different than each other, because in skill section people write I know JS, I know TS, Material UI, everything, but projects mein dekha to only 2 tech stack. So it's like you are faking it. So the best way to prove yourself is to mention them in the projects. So have one project like Next.js, Material UI, and Node.js, and second project can be React Native, Tailwind, and Mongo, Java. It's like that. So 7 tech stacks covered in 2 projects. So it's like that. Like having maximum number of tech stacks in your projects is a good thing. And it's very good if they are of completely different domain. Like I had 2 projects, one was web and one was desktop. So desktop का tech stack वैसे ही थोड़ा अलग हो गया. It's Electron JS, it's Java and then something else. And then two projects are completely different and that works. It worked for me. I think it should work for others as well.
तो इससे दिखेगा ना कि you are learning things and you are
Correct.
implementing it rather than
right.
just putting in
Exactly.
your resume कि मेरे को ये आता है. How will the recruiter know कि तुम्हें आता है?
Correct, correct.
If you make a project,
It's
and
like a proof.
It's a proof of work basically,
Correct.
right? कि that you have done it. Great, great, great. ठीक है, तो you've explained about the roadmap, you've explained about the projects and the tech stack. One important thing that everyone keeps wondering about is DSA. DSA is obviously on the mind of
Definitely.
everyone all the time. So let's say that someone wants to go into front end. They want to be a front end engineer in a good company, even a good startup like Cred and all. You have Uber, obviously.
Correct.
So how much DSA is important along with front end, and should they go deep into DSA? Is my question.
Okay, to be honest, there is no other way than DSA. We have to do it. The only exception may be if you are going into a startup that has recently started, like 2-3 years back, like if Zepto has started 2-3 years back, or even companies like even Razorpay. It's not a very early startup, but it's like a startup. So these companies, what the advantage here is, they don't care about your DSA skills in a way. They maybe try to focus on your problem solving. So there are mostly rounds based on problem solving using JavaScript, machine coding, system design. These are the rounds which primarily focuses on tech, the dev part, and not the DSA part. Whereas if you want to get into companies like then Uber, Dream11, Techion, and like Google, obviously, these companies will definitely take your DSA round. Not one, might be two also. So if you want to get into very good company that's like MNCs, then definitely there's no other way. Even for front end, they ask DSA. The only thing that might differ is the difficulty level. For if you're going for a back end role, might be they'll ask you DP, but if you're going for a front end role in some company, they'll ask you tree, not DP. Like I have not been asked DP in any of the interviews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no DP question, and graph only in one company I've been asked. One maximum is tree till tree, and I think what in front end they do is, because DSA has no direct impact with the actual coding that you do. What they do is they'll ask you JavaScript question, front end question with a DSA question in it. I'll give you a very good example. Asked in Amazon, they asked me to basically like there's a method called document.getElement by ID. They asked me to code that function in JavaScript. So what if I ask you to create a function that takes an ID and gives you an element from the tree? If you don't know how to parse a tree in DSA, how will you solve this question? So it's not a direct tree question. It's a JS question with DSA. So it's like that. They'll ask you indirectly, they'll ask you that. But basic understanding of concepts like array, string, linked list, tree, this is definitely necessary. The difficulty levels might vary in that case for front end.
Alright, so just a follow-up question on that. जैसे लोग फ्रंट एंड या बैक एंड वगैरह करते हैं, बट आपने देखा होगा कि लोग जब DSA या फिर थोड़ा CP की तरफ जाते हैं, तो दे गो मोर फॉर लैंग्वेजेस लाइक C++, जावा वगैरह, है ना. लोग जावास्क्रिप्ट में आपने बहुत कम देखा होगा DSA करते हैं. So do you think DSA जावास्क्रिप्ट में करना is important for front end guys, or is it fine with C++?
See, there are 2-3 things to keep in mind. For example, if you are already confident with your competitive coding or DSA thing, and if you want to go into front end, and if you have done it in C++, Java, Python, no matter what, I think you should continue with that language, because you don't waste your time to learn a new language, learn the syntax, and then like do everything again. So it's completely fine if you do it in the same language. Second thing is, if you don't know anything, like I've never done DSA and I want to stick into front end only for the next like my career, then I'll say go into JavaScript in that case, because other languages like Java or C++ might not help you going ahead. So at least if you do it in DSA in JS, at least you'll be familiarized with the concepts of it, and that you'll be able to use it in your actual dev purpose. So it's not like managing 2 languages. So I think for them, starting with JS is fine. Then third category is my category. So I have started with a language in college. So I didn't do DSA for 2 years because I was working, and then I had to switch. So now I've forgot everything what I've done previously. So I have done it in Python for 2.5 years. So I thought instead of, even if I have to continue with Python, I have to like start everything from scratch. And if I have to do it in JS, I have to start everything from scratch. So it's like similar situation. So I thought Python won't help me because I'm not in data science role or backend role. So JS will help me. So I started with JS. So that's like 3 scenarios I can imagine of.
अंडरस्टूड ऑल राइट एंड जैसे डीएसए की हम बात करें थोड़ा तो लाइक यू सेड कि एक तो डीएसए का आ जाता है लॉजिक वाला पार्ट कि ट्री इंप्लीमेंट करना आना चाहिए लिंक लिस्ट इंप्लीमेंट करना आना चाहिए वो है इन्हीं का जाता है अपना लीड कोड स्टाइल की प्रॉब्लम ही आपको दे दिया
Correct.
कि ट्री का
हाँ.
प्रॉब्लम है यू हैव टू सॉल्व इट एंड टू एंड
Correct.
है ना तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक एक अच्छा लेवल होना चाहिए एक फ्रंट एस्पायरिंग फ्रंट एंड इंजीनियर का कि उसको इंटरव्यूज में दिक्कत नहीं होगी जैसे लीड कोड मीडियम हो जाने चाहिए या लीड कोड
Got it.
हार्ड पे भी फोकस करना चाहिए एक लेवल क्या होना चाहिए आपका
So I'll talk about till 4 years of experience because I cannot tell you beyond that. So for 4 years, I think for SD once I'm not very sure. For them, I think it might be because freshers usually don't know a lot about of tech, so mostly they'll be focusing on DSA. Even the interviewers know. So for them, the standard might increase. For them, it might be medium, so like hard also. But for SD2 for 2 to 4 years, I think doing lead code medium is sufficient. Like if you do there's a sheet called blind 75 which I have like told in many of my posts. Blind 75 is 75 questions, but what people don't understand is they do all 75. Usme DP ke 15 questions are there. Why are you doing DP when it's not very much asked? Like you can take the risk. I had taken the risk. I didn't do one question also. So you can take that call. I didn't do any DSC question. Graph questions, I just knew how to traverse a graph and some topological sort, and those some important questions I had done. And after that, the 75 gets reduced to maybe 55. So that 55 I had done, and medium questions from Striver's list. I didn't do any hard question as such. Only when I had got a call from Uber and Dream11, I started to do a little bit of hard question. Apart from that, like most of the companies, even big companies like Flipkart, Myntra, these companies have only asked me till medium, and that to direct questions. थोड़ा बहुत twist हो सकता है, but you will understand what that question points to. So I think till medium you can keep your range. You need not go till hard. It's up your call. If you're very good at DSA, definitely. If you want to increase your chance, you can go for harder ones also.
ऑल राइट तो जैसे वी टॉक्ड अबाउट प्रिपरेशन की फ्रंट एंड के लिए डीएसए के लिए बट बहुत बार एन इशू हैपेंस इज दैट यू नॉट एबल टू गेट इंटरव्यू कॉल itself right you don't know much about the opportunities and even if you know about the opportunity you apply and you don't get any call back most of the time in interview right so this is an issue that freshers face even experienced people face
True,
right
true.
so how do you think one can get good front end opportunities or from where can they get those
Yeah. This is actually one of the most asked questions that I get on one-on-one calls or maybe DMs. So mostly what I say is them is that there are 2 portals that I have. Don't use a lot of portals. People are on 5-6 portals applying for jobs everywhere, and it's difficult to manage. I'll suggest ki work on maximum of 3. I have done on 2 only. I have applied via LinkedIn Jobs, which I think is probably the best. And second is InstaHire. If you're looking for an early startup or startups which are 3-4 years old, in that case you can target InstaHire because it has a good response rate. Like I have applied maybe to 12 companies max, and out of that 4 or 5 have replied to me. So it's pretty good. I think it's better than LinkedIn Jobs in terms of reply rate.
yes
And second thing is basically there are few things that you can actually improve from your side. Other things are luck. One is your preparation, one is your resume, and one is your LinkedIn ka optimization. So basically try to optimize your LinkedIn as much as possible. For example, have a good tagline. Put your tech stacks into your tagline like Samarth Nehe. Below you can write SD2 at this, and then followed by JavaScript, React Native, because this helps in your SEO when recruiters start to search for you or searching for some particular role like React Native or something. Your profile might rank higher because you have it in your tagline. Then second thing is description. Try to put your resume content into your description in a way, but little in a paragraph wise, not just exactly copy paste. So you can put your description. That also works in your SEO thing. Then comes your endorsements. If you have your skills endorsed by someone, for example, if you're a recruiter, you're searching for React. There are thousands of people who have React in their profile, but mine is endorsed. 2 people have told ki have done good in React. So my profile would definitely rank higher than them. So that is one thing, and one is recommendations by your friend. You can ask your friends to recommend me that I have worked with you and I've done something great. So like that will also help in your SEO. So and last thing will be your apply frequency. If you're applying 10 per week or something like that, definitely it's difficult for recruiters to come and reach out to you. Your rate should be at least 40 to 45 or 50 per day, so that when recruiters actually start searching for people, you'll rank higher because they know that you are desperately looking for a change. And last thing will be open to work. I think everyone does it nowadays, and they're scared that what if my colleagues see it. So there is an option called only visible to recruiters. that you can keep it so that only the people who are required to see it, they see it. So that is how you can actually.
Nice, nice, nice. And by the way, guys, Samarth also has a top mate. I'll give a link to that in the description for any personal help, or if you need any personal help in any of your job searching, job hunting, then you can reach out to him as well. I'll give a link in the description. And one thing that we've seen in a lot of places, you might have also seen in a lot of freshers, is that they always get stuck in the preparation wala ही phase. अब देखोगे 1 साल 2 साल तक प्रिपेयर ही कर रहे हैं एंड दे नेवर स्टार्ट अप्लाइंग. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द लेवल ऑफ प्रिपेयर्डनेस कि बंदा सोचे कि यार इतना मैंने प्रिपेयर कर लिया है, नाउ आई एम रेडी, आई कैन स्टार्ट अप्लाइंग. When do you think person should do that?
Okay, so first thing is like I'll be honest. If you compare with backend, frontend ka syllabus is little less. To be honest, so just imagine if a frontend you're taking 6, 7, 8 months to only prepare. What will happen if you had done it for backend? Like 1 साल तक you'll be preparing. So what you can take an optimal approach for this is what I did is I studied for 1 month. Like what is the first round? Basically, you have to do a research. Like what I'll suggest is you list down companies that you always wanted to work for. Like note down 10, 15 companies and try to understand the pattern. कि क्या होता है इसमें. Out of 15 questions, 12 companies, 15 companies, 12 companies are taking the first round as JS fundamentals or DSA. So start with that. Start with JS and DSA. People start with machine coding or system design. Round first round clear नहीं होगा. So it's like that. Start right.
Yes.
So 1 month I prepared JS and DSA. Now once I'm confident with this, I'll start applying. I'm not caring second, third round में क्या होगा मेरा. So first round at least I'll understand कि whether I'm preparing or not, preparing it right or not. After preparing for 1 month, if I'm getting rejected in 5 companies, it means that my 1 month preparation is not right. I need to sort this out. So after applying, when I see कि I've started out of 3, 3 or 4, I'm getting selected in 2. That's a good sign कि I'm preparing right. So once I clear this, I know कि second round क्या machine coding है. So I'll start machine coding का preparation and I'll not forget this thing. So what I'll do is morning I'll do JS DSA and night I can do machine coding because I know कि interview आने वाला है इस पे. Once I clear machine coding or something like that, I'll switch this. Machine coding I'll switch with system design. And if I'm very confident with the first JS and DSA तो आता ही है, like I'm very confident, अब पढ़ना नहीं है. I'll replace this with machine coding. So now it's machine coding system design. सुबह machine coding, रात को system design. Once system design is done, I'll replace this with HM round with projects. So it's like that. Gradually, as you start to understand कि interview में क्या मैं clear कर ही पा रहा हूँ, so that you can replace with some topics that are you're not very confident with. So that's how you start doing interview and preparation together. So maximum spend 2 months for preparation initially, and then start to apply for. ऐसे नहीं कि first इसमें you want the job and something like that. First 4-5 is just practice. उसके बाद you actually start to apply in your dream companies and like that, so that you increase your chances basically.
And I think that's a very good approach क्योंकि 100% prepared तो नहीं
You are never be.
है ना. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी पूछे and you'll be able to answer. कहीं ना कहीं you will have that weakness.
Correct.
And जब तक इंटरव्यू दोगे नहीं पता ही नहीं चलेगा what is that weakness, right? So that's a great approach कि parallelly में इंटरव्यू भी देते रहो, prepare भी करते रहो. All right, so I think we've discussed pretty much everything in a lot of detail. So let's say that all of those people who are watching these videos, those aspiring front-end engineers who also want to crack a company like Uber, Google, the top companies or the top startups, what advice would you like to give them that they're also able to achieve it?
Okay, so nowadays what is happening is what I saw is there's a lot of resource available here and there. Abhi to we have ChatGPT and everything, so people are like very confused ki what to do. ये भी पढ़ना है, I have to study this also. I'll suggest कि figure out things in like figure out कि JS DSA you have to do. This is final. इसमें there's a lot of content I know, but segregate it into pieces. कि what are the parts? JS, DSA, machine coding, system design projects. 5 are done. This is segregated. Now try to find resources for this individual. Don't go more than 2-3 resources. Find 2 for DSA, 2 for system design. Stick to it. Maybe try to spend 2-3 weeks on finding the resources only, but find the best ones. And try to stick to that. Tomorrow if some other course comes, you should not be like यार ये course कर लेता हूँ. Stick to this and have a proper roadmap. I think that is very essential because people try to get diverted जब भी कोई नया course आ गया किसी का तो they get diverted. So try to fix your material and your preparation. Other thing is even if you're prepared, most things what happen is when you get into interview, people are not able to answer even when they know it. So there is something called mock interviews, or like it's not necessary to actually pay for it. You can ask your friend, you can ask for your senior who is like 1 or 2 years elder to you because they are the ones who will be taking your interview, someone senior to you. So you can ask them to take it, like you can go and like have it like a professional interview only. You can tell your friend to ask, okay, I'm prepared for this topic. You can ask me on system design and tell me at the end of the interview. You can tell me feedback. Yeah, I'm stammering a lot, or I'm not able to explain clearly, or my thought process is not good, or something like that. You can take feedback from people. So because only when you try to give mock interviews, you'll be confident with the real interviews. Most of the people, what they tell me in the one-on-one sessions is, ki, I know the answer. I think I've communicated it, but the person on the other end still asks me the same question because he didn't get what I told. So that's one thing. They don't understand what they're speaking, or they're not able to communicate. So mock interview is one essential thing that you can go for it. And I think after that, it's mostly about application. I'll tell you. People say ki I'm applying, but I'm not getting job. When I ask them ki how much did you apply, they are saying ki every week I'm applying 10, 15. But so 10, 15 mein how much you'll get? And what's the issue in applying to 100 or 200 companies? They'll not come to your home, right? So it's like just keep applying for it. And one more thing is people apply without referral. So referral is the most important thing I think is in the application phase. If you are not applying it via referral, I think there are almost zero chances of getting a call. With referral, it's not 100, but definitely more than what would have happened if you have not applied it with the referral. So one advice is, like when I told you to note down the 15 companies, what you can do is 15 companies are finalized. You start to send connection requests to people working in these 15 companies. Reason being, you're preparing for 3 months, and after 3 months, one of these 15 companies have an opening for SD2. You want to apply to it with a referral. Now what you'll do, you'll go to the company, connect to people. After 2-4 days, they'll reply. I mean, accept your connection. Then you send a referral request. 2-3 days उसमें लगेंगे, and then by the time you get the referral, opening is closed. So it's a good thing if you have already connected with people before your preparation itself. So when the opening is there, you can directly go to the LinkedIn page of that company. You see 5-6 connections already made, and you just have to ask for the referral. Wait for 2 days, get the referral, and you're sorted. That's one thing. Take referral very seriously. Have a particular template that you want to send to the people, and yeah, like I think referral is the only way you can get the opportunity.
ऑलराइट, एंड अगर हम थोड़ा वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स की बात करें जिनको लेट्स से कि फ्रंट एंड में आना है अभी, या फ्रंट एंड में रोल चाहिए अभी, वो ऐसे रोल में है दैट दे डोंट लाइक, ऐसी कंपनी में दैट दे डोंट लाइक, एंड दे वांट टू गेट इनटू अ गुड कंपनी एज अ फ्रंट एंड इंजीनियर. सो हाउ डू यू थिंक दे कैन प्रिपेयर, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली दे हैव अ वर्क, ऑब्वियसली जॉब भी है, उसके साथ भी प्रिपेयर करना है स्विच के लिए. सो हाउ डू यू थिंक इज अ गुड वे फॉर देम टू प्रिपेयर?
I think there are two phases. One is like a person who is not satisfied with the company and he wants to switch. Other person is who is not satisfied with the role.
Yes.
So here there are two different scenarios. One, in the first scenario, where not satisfied with the job and is already in the front end domain. In that case, the preparation might take lesser time because I'm already into front end. I'm used to code in JS. I every day see the React codes. It's like still easier. So it was my case basically. Like it's not that I was not satisfied, but I just was looking for a change. So in that case, what I'll suggest is like segregate give some time, like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day. Now it's up to you, like how do you want to segregate it. If you're a night person, you can just sit from 10 to 11 or something like that, 11 to 2. Or I was someone who was not a night or not a morning person. What I did was morning I took 1 hour and night I took 2 hours. So it was like morning 10 to 11 and then night 10 to 12. So it was like that. So like I told, you have to just manage what to prepare when. So initially it was JS morning, DSA night. And then once I got confident, I got selected in rounds. I did JS, DSA in the morning, machine coding in the night. So you have to segregate 2 hours is because which is more important to you, that you have to give it in the 2 hours. Don't do ki night ke 2 hours, 1 hour JS and 1 hour DSA. Because karti you don't understand, 1.5 hours gone. And then only half an hour I've got for the other one. It doesn't make any sense. So do that 2 hours from like specifically for one topic, I'll say. So that's one thing. And a person who is not into front end, he wants to switch, I think he'll have to give more time because it's from a completely scratch, has to learn things. So might be that 3 hours might get converted to 5 hours. You have to take that call maybe. Ki morning you wake up early or morning may you do 3 hours and night may 2 hours or something like that. Because that's very, and the roadmaps are completely different for them. Like the roadmap I specified, that will be for I think beginners of starting. And for the people who are already into front end, they can just like understand what things are asked in the interview and prepare accordingly.
Right. Like you said, now thoda to मेहनत करना ही पड़ेगा. Without that, it won't be possible.
True.
Especially if you're starting from scratch.
Correct.
You're gonna have a few sleepless nights. You're gonna have a few, manage करना पड़ेगा. उसके बिना नहीं हो सकता. All right. So I think we have covered pretty much everything that is required by one to successfully crack a good front end role in a good company. And if anyone of you still have any doubt, I'll again give his LinkedIn and top mate in the description. You can connect with him from there as well. So yeah, I think it's been a wonderful podcast. Thanks a lot, Samarth, for coming on
Thanks,
that.
Ashish. Thanks.
Thank you.